Tony, what are you doing in my window?
Not in your window.
You're in my kitchen.
I am in your kitchen.
Okay. We're gonna bake bread today. Here's the thing. I've been baking bread my whole life. I grew up in a household where we had fresh bread all the time. I learned from my mom how to bake bread. It's really easy. But when I meet people and they find out I bake bread, they're astonished. You can bake bread. You must be some baking genius, which is ridiculous because bread is so easy to make.
It's got 4 ingredients.
It has these for, well, 5 if you include flour, 6 if you include the water.
Yeah. Well, but not that tomato of mine.
No, we don't put the tomato in the bread. We'll have that on the bread for lunch. This is the tomato you grew.
Well, we both grew tomatoes, and it wasn't a contest or anything, but it was a coincidence.
Yeah.
Right? So, it's like, it's got some defects on it and stuff, but, it's
just tasty.
But I have tried one, and they're sweet and delicious.
Awesome. So anyway, we're going to make bread. I normally use my big mixer. But most people probably don't have one of these, so I'm going to do it the old way, just using a bowl and a spoon. Okay, so here's what you need. You need a bowl and a wooden spoon, some measuring spoons, a measuring cup, some olive oil or other fat, like you can use regular cooking oil, you can use butter or margarine, or bacon fat is really good if you're not vegan. You need just regular salt. You need a sugar, so you can use white sugar, brown sugar. I like honey. And you need some traditional active dry yeast.
Now, why wouldn't one use olive oil if they had it? That is the question of a chef.
Well, different flavors.
Right.
I like olive oil because it's healthy.
Virgin.
Extra virgin olive oil.
Extra virgin.
It's healthy, and I also really like the flavor.
Yeah.
But it's healthier than something like butter or bacon fat. But butter and bacon fat taste really good. So,
Mom used to use bacon fat.
Yeah. I've used it many times. And I will again, probably for a treat. So the first thing I need is some hot water. I'm going to make a half recipe here. And all you have to do is double the ingredients. I'll put the ingredients on screen. All you have to do is double the ingredients to get twice as much. But this is a half recipe from what my mom taught me. So just start with some hot water from the sink. So first I want 1.5 cups of water as hot as I can get it from the sink. And I'm going to put that in the bowl. And the reason I want really hot water is because I want to dissolve the salt and the honey in the water.
I just use white sugar most of the time in my kitchen, but honey I think is a better idea.
I used to use white sugar until I learned how basically poisonous it is, especially for people who have a lot of body inflammation and things. White sugar is one of the main culprits in inflammation. Okay, so I have my 1.5 cups there. I need 1/2 cup of lukewarm water. This is to grow the yeast. So just barely warm. Half a cup. And then in here goes either, you can get this in little packages. So either one package, which is equal to 2 1/4 teaspoons. So we're going to put in 2 1/4 teaspoons of yeast. Where do you think I got these spoons from, Tony? Can you guess?
Probably not.
Lee Valley Tools.
Oh, there.
Of course, Lee Valley Tools. And
I should have known.
we add to this 1 teaspoon of honey. or sugar or whatever, what have you.
You should have told me that before we started filming. Then I would have been able to be a smart ass.
And then you mix it. So the sugar is feeding the yeast, and it's going to help it grow and bloom. And in about 5 minutes, you can see what that looks like.
Yep. And put it over in a warm area.
Right here is fine. It's warm enough in here. So just get that honey off of there. In the hot water, we put 1 tablespoon of honey. And here's where the hot comes in useful, because now it'll all dissolve in there. This is where a metal spoon comes in handy too, because if you use a plastic or like a plastic spoon, the heat won't really help it melt out as well. And then we need 1.5 tablespoons of your fat. I'm using extra virgin Spanish olive oil. I don't know why Spanish makes a difference, but it sounds fancy.
Yeah, it's about $300 a bottle.
No, it isn't. I got it at Costco. And 2 teaspoons of salt. Don't forget the salt.
No.
I'm saying that because on occasion I have forgotten the salt, and the bread is kind of bland.
Yep.
So you kind of have to salt it when you.
Even in a chocolate cake, you want salt.
Yep. There.
The first thing that I was taught in cooking school.
Okay. We are done with measuring, so I'm just going to put these things away. Okay, so I'm going to warm the oven just so it's a little bit warmer than in here. This warm is actually too hot, so I'll leave it on for about 5 minutes and then turn it off, and the oven will retain the heat. But it's autumn in Vancouver, so it's kind of chilly outside, and there's a window right here, so it's a little chilly in the kitchen. You want to rise your bread in a nice warm place. That'll just encourage the yeast to rise more. So what the yeast does is it grows and generates gases. I mean, honestly, it's yeast farts that make the bubbles in your bread. All right, our yeast is ready. It's really nice and foamy. If your yeast is not foamy and growing at this point, do not use it. It means your yeast is not active, and your bread will not rise. It'll be a brick and it'll be disgusting. So go get fresh yeast. All we have to do is pour this in here.
Super duper easy.
Yeah, that rise, so proving the yeast takes like maybe 5 minutes. And in 5 minutes, you should see plenty of growth. And then we add flour. So I have my big flour container. How much flour do we add? Well, the answer is, well, technically, according to the recipe, it's 6 cups. I add flour until the dough feels right. So I'll show you what I mean.
Yeah,
I don't even measure. And it takes a lot of stirring, and then it's going to take a little bit of, I'll show you how to knead the bread. But like we're almost done at this point. We've done all the hard stuff. Wasn't that ridiculously easy?
It sure was. For anybody.
Apparently the hard stuff for me was measuring 1.5 tablespoons of oil.
Right. That can be challenging, I know, which it is for me.
Can you see the mixing? You just want it really well mixed. Really nice and homogeneous. And I'm adding it about a cup at a time right now.
And that's what Mom used to do too, just to feel.
Yep, to feel. So the idea is we want to add flour until it's not sticking, to the bowl anymore. You can see it's still sticky. See? So it needs a bit more.
Just a wee bit.
Putting like half a cup at this point because we're getting close. scraping down the sides, get all the flour on there. Okay, still sticky. Another half cup. This is where if you have like a countertop mixer, it can just save you a little bit of the
like my Ninja system has paddles.
Yeah,
You just go zip, 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 and it's done.
Oh,
And
nice.
it's perfect.
I have a dough hook for my little.
Well, that's what it is. Yeah, it's a dough hook, and you just zip it a couple of times. You pulse it a couple of times. It's done.
So this is looking pretty good. Okay, so you want to make sure that you wash your hands before we're going to handle the dough now. So you want to make sure you have clean hands before you should have totally clean hands before you start any of this. But definitely before you start kneading the dough. So we just flour the surface here a little bit, turn the dough out. So how we kneading is pretty simple. You simply take the dough, fold it over, and press it, then rotate it 1/4. Fold it over, press it, rotate 1/4, and pretty soon you're doing this. And we want to do this until you can see it sticking to my hands. And it's dry on the bottom because I floured this. Once it's all sticky, I'll dust a little bit more flour on it, and we'll keep doing that until we get to what's called the cleanup stage. And in the cleanup stage, it'll clean all the flour off the counter, but it won't be sticking to my hands. So actually, it looks like it might be there now. We're close to there. And the dough feels really smooth. There's no lumps inside of it. If you feel lumps, you just need to keep kneading for a while. They will go away. It's a little bit sticky. Don't add too much flour. Don't want to make your bread tough. Still a little bit sticky.
One thing about kneading it enough that I was taught in cooking school is that if it's not kneaded enough, you're going to have gases going through tunnels on the inside. You're going to have huge holes.
Yeah.
And that's because of the gas that it tries to escape. It makes tunnels
Yeah.
in your bread. That's why you have huge holes.
Yeah. Kneading it helps the flour glutenize, which makes it gluey. That's how I think
It's
of it.
gluten.
Gluey gluten.
Yeah.
Okay. This is a good dough.
That's what you're looking for.
Yep. So, I'll turn off the oven. It might be too hot. I'm just going to leave the door open. We don't want it to be hot. We just want it to be warm. The inside of the oven is nice and warm. It'll stay warm. So I'm going to spray down my bowl. Just use the same bowl I was mixing in. And you can either cover it with a cloth. I like to just spray it with cooking oil. That stops the top from crusting up. And then it goes in the oven for 60 minutes.
And the oven's off.
And the oven is off.
Perfect.
See you in 60 minutes.
Okay. 2, 1.
Because everybody knows that if you don't wait until the very last second, the bread will be ruined. Okay, look at that. Look at how big that is.
Whoa.
It's kind of jello-y and wobbly. That's really good. So we're gonna put a little bit of flour down. Turn it out. And we're done with that.
Turn out it.
So what we want to do is kind of punch this down, because there's the initial proof will have created some really big bubbles in there, and you don't want those to stick around because they'll make big holes in your bread.
Those are the gas things that we were talking
Just
about.
punch it down. We're going to make 2 loaves out of this, so I have 2 loaf pans. And we're going to chop this in half. So if you have a divider, you can use that, or just a knife.
Isn't that what a divider is?
Divider is a knife. And then these just get kneaded a little bit until they're nice and smooth.
And nice.
And nice. This basic bread recipe, we're going to make a loaf of bread and some buns. But you can also make all kinds of other things. So I'm going to do more bread making videos where we make stuff like focaccia bread, which is to die for. Pizza crust and cinnamon buns and stuff like that.
That's
But
rosemary and stuff like that.
Yeah. You got to start with the basic bread recipe. It's really simple. And you can make so many great things. And save yourself tons of money also, by the way.
Yep.
Yeah. So I just
Damn grocery bill
roll
prices.
these like a log just to lengthen them a bit. Now that's up maybe a little, maybe it's a little too small for this pan. Let me see if I have smaller pans. Here's some slightly smaller pans. Since I'm doing a half recipe, those pans are a little big. So yeah, I'll just stick this one in here. And I'm gonna divide this one up into 8. If I was a fancy chef like you, I'd probably be weighing all these.
Are you kidding?
No? No weighing?
Fancy chefs don't bother with that.
Their eyes so good.
They already know how much everything weighs.
Yeah, so I'm just going to make these into balls. And the way I do that is by taking one of these, getting a flat side, and then kind of pushing it between my fingers. Makes a nice little ball. And just drop it in. You don't have to do that. If you want to be rustic, you can just dump these in.
No, but you know, in the commercial kitchens, we have a actual bun dividing machine
Really?
that does all that for you.
Oh,
Yep.
fancy.
You just put the lever down and chops them all into exactly the same piece, and one in the middle.
Fancy. So just like a press, a chopper?
Yep, round thing.
Cool.
Kind of like in the shape of sort of like a pie sort of a thing.
So people like these. These are just pull-apart buns. People love them. And a nice loaf of bread is always good for a tomato sandwich. But of course, if you want, you could just make 2 loaves of bread, in which case you just chop it in half, kind of make logs out of them and throw them in the pans, and then a little more cooking oil on top just to stop the crust from forming too hard, and then back in the oven for another hour.
To proof a second time.
Correct. Okay, so I always take my rising bread out a few minutes before so I can preheat the oven. So we can see, look at that.
Smells good too. Smells yeasty.
Want to be gentle
And
with
nice.
it. If we knock it, it could cause some of the bubbles to collapse and flatten the bread, so
Yeah.
I want to be careful not to knock it.
Yeah,
We want to make sure the rack is on the center. It's the center rack.
yeah.
And we want to convect, if you have it, to 350. Now if you want a slightly harder crust, you can go up to 375, maybe 400, and the temperature might vary depending on your oven. So a good place to start is 350 for half an hour. So as soon as this is preheated, it'll actually take longer for it to preheat than for the timer to be finished. So a few minutes after that, it'll be 350. We're gonna throw the bread in. You'll see. Wait a half an hour, and then we're gonna get delicious bread.
Now, is that what you were just talking about the oven in Mom's instructions?
350 for half an hour. Yeah.
No, but the rice, making it hotter for a crust. A bigger,
No,
better
that's
crust.
what I've discovered myself over
Okay.
the years,
Mhm.
and also using different recipes. So like, you can mix a lot of ingredients into the. This is just basic white bread, but you can mix ingredients in like oats and nuts and things that make it heavier. And what I found is if I'm making heavier, denser bread, and I crank the temperature up a little bit, I get a really crispy brown crust. It's so delicious and nutty.
Yeah.
But we're just doing the basic recipe right now, so we're going to do 350 for 30 minutes.
Okay.
Okay, so we're going to put the bread in. It's important to have about a quarter cup of water ready. And what we're going to do is we're going to splash that into the bottom of the oven. It's going to make steam. It's going to help the crust form. Something I learned from French baking. I'm going to be quick so the oven doesn't cool off too much.
You know what? I didn't even know that. You know what I do?
What do you do?
I put a tray of water on the bottom.
Oh.
So then it always has the moisture.
Yeah, well, professional ovens, like baking ovens, have a steam
Releasing
thing,
from the vent.
like a little hose that goes in.
Yeah.
Keeps a constant
Yeah.
steam in there.
My rationale at work, my $70,000 oven, has that. You can adjust the percentage of steam,
Well, this is just a little home oven, so
which is
we do the best we can.
Which isn't-
with what we have.
which is better or just as good or better.
Well,
Because my big oven is just a big oven. That's all it is.
when we make our tomato sandwiches, you can judge whether or not the bread is better or worse for that.
I'm not going to be a judge.
Yes, you are.
I'm just going to be a consumer. I'm going to be eating tomato sandwiches with salt and pepper and mayonnaise.
Yum.
That's it.
Okay, see you in half an hour.
Yep.
There's so many great reasons to make your own bread. First of all, homemade, fresh, warm bread with melted butter or margarine on it is so awesome. There's hardly any better comfort food than that, especially on a cold day in October. The price of groceries, bread is like $6 or $7 a loaf in some places.
What good bread that is.
Good
Like
bread.
good,
Decent bread,
decent bread.
not crap. That's right.
Yeah.
We're talking about, so you know every ingredient in this bread. And it's
Yes.
good, healthy ingredients.
Yeah.
Your family and friends will love you if you make bread for them, especially some of the breads I'm going to teach you later. And it's really satisfying and fun to just go in the kitchen and make your own bread. And it makes people think you're a genius, and then you get to snicker in the background about how easy it is.
Even though when you know you're not.
That's right.
Me
It still
neither.
feels good when people go, "You bake bread, you're so amazing."
Now, as far as the grocery prices, you hear it on the news every single day, and it has to do with all this other crap that's happening in the world and whatnot, and it's just making it hard for anyone, like little people like us, to really kind of like go out and spend a reasonable amount of money on weekly groceries.
Well,
And basic.
corporations are squeezing the people. They're squeezing us. So we have to find other ways.
Yep. And this is one way.
Corporations have to increase their profit every quarter.
Yep.
So the prices keep going up. They're going to keep going up. If you stop eating out so much and start making your own food, first of all, you're going to have a way better diet. You're going to be more healthy. You're going to have more money in your bank account.
And you know what's in the food.
And
Because you
know
put
it's
it there,
in food, yeah.
you put it in there.
And bread is so freaking easy to make, it's ridiculous. So
Yeah.
make bread. Alrighty. Some step back, there's gonna be a big blast of fire. I bet you know that. Oh yeah, look at that.
It's more than a loaf. It's wee loaves.
Should just roll right out like that.
Did you choose green oven mitts?
No.
Didn't think,
Right.
didn't think so.
I don't know where this came from.
I got stuff like that at home
Been there for a
too.
long time. Anyway, there it is.
Now we just wait for them to cool down,
Yeah, they need to cool for
and
a
we
while.
do our mise en. Well, we don't have to do any mise en place.
Well, there. He's on plus.
Butter,
Salt and pepper,
salt and pepper, butter,
margarine. Marge.
mayonnaise.
There it is. Mayo. And tomato sharpener. And butter knife. Mise en place. It's still pretty warm. So when the bread is warm, we run the risk of squishing it when we cut it.
But we're hungry.
But we're hungry, so I have a serrated bread knife, and sometimes a really sharp, this isn't super sharp, but a sharp butcher knife will work.
Butcher knife.
That works, seems to work quite nicely. Notice how I put it on the side so that there's less width to cut. It makes it a little easier on it.
Yes.
That crumb looks really nice. Do you want your sandwich with the crust or without? So
What I would like is I would like to eat this crust with butter on its own and have a sandwich. I want my sandwich and eat it too.
So this is getting quite difficult to cut. It's too warm. So I can try an electric knife. But yeah, you can have that with some marge.
You want to cut it in half and have half?
Sure. Half for you. Cheers. You have only yourself to blame.
If I don't make bread.
You don't make bread now. You have nobody but yourself. Because now you've seen how unbelievably simple it is to make really delicious homemade bread. What's your excuse? Seriously. This is heaven. It's quite difficult to cook fresh bread, or to cut fresh bread, so this is one trick that I learned. If you really can't wait for it to cool down properly, like me.
And me.
There are 4 pieces of bread.
Well, it looks like you have your bread cutting license.
Yes, mother. How many times did you have your bread cutting license revoked?
I don't remember. Well, let's cut the tomato.
Okay, we'll cut the tomato first. I don't know what kind of pesticides you've used on your tomatoes.
Yes.
How do you like yours, thick or thin?
Same way as you. Use the whole tomato up, of course. Took all summer to grow this tomato.
Yep. Was it worth the wait?
I guarantee. I've already tasted one of these.
needs sharpening. There we go.
How to make a tomato sandwich
Yes. Right. This is much more
By-
challenging than making bread.
by Canadian makers,
That's right. Canadian
where we make
tomato
everything
sandwich
from ukuleles
to bread.
to bread to tomatoes to tomato
That's
sandwiches.
true. We make tomatoes.
And eating tomato sandwiches while playing ukuleles.
Show them my tomatoes. Those are my tomatoes. Okay. So, some tomato.
What about the mayo?
Put it on the other side.
Okay.
Did you want it on both sides?
No. Oh no, never.
Mayo. How much do you like?
Just enough. And then the pepper.
And salt? Or just pepper?
Yes. This is like Bruce. This reminds me when I was 11 years old and Bruce made me a tomato sandwich
With salt and pepper?
with peppers, I think I remember. Because it's a minimalist thing. Pepper on tomatoes. Very
want to put salt on
minimalist. He might have put salt in, I can't remember. I was 11. That was like 800 years ago.
Just put a little dash.
Okay, not 800. 80.
Just a little for flavor. All right.
Simple tomato sandwich. This
On a plastic little kid plate.
is comfort food.
Yes. Mmm. That is a good tomato. Mmm. Good bread.
Everything about this sandwich is to die for.
Tomorrow I'm going to make some sourdough. I have my sourdough starter here. And sourdough is a little more complicated than the basic bread recipe I just did. But of course sourdough is freaking sourdough. It takes a lot longer to make. And you have to start by making a sourdough starter. And the biggest difference between this bread and that bread is that this bread you don't put active dry yeast in it. There's just natural yeast everywhere on everything. And it takes like a week and a half all it is flour and water. And it'll eventually start to ferment and grow yeast in there. It's just natural yeast. And you have to keep feeding it. So there's care and attention for your sourdough starter. So it's like with regular bread, you can just make it and forget about it. And you store your yeast dry in the cupboard. But this takes time and attention and care. But it does make sourdough bread, which is awesome.
And sometimes forget about it just means forget about it.
Which means forget about it. Forget about it. Bye.
Bye.